A very good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. Hi, hello, namaste. It is once again my great pleasure, privilege, and honor to be with all of you for our Instagram live session on this World Mental Health Day. It's been quite a while that we have interacted with each other and have had a live session. I always say I'll do more and I commit that I'll do more, but sometimes I just get caught up with so many things. But there's no excuses, no justifications. I just want to do more such sessions with all of you, and hopefully we can do more such sessions in the future as well. But once again, thank you all so very much for joining this evening to discuss about how to have a robust and a good mental health on this World Mental Health Day. I hope you're all keeping safe and are staying safe. The COVID pandemic is kind of now slowly getting sorted, and we are all kind of trying to see how we can bounce back to normal life now, trying to see how we can come back to our normal life. But that's exactly how life is, guys. The other day I was at somebody's home, and this family had two kids. One was like about 5 years old and the other was like 7-8 years old. So a 5 saal ka bacha, the 5-year-old kid, he was playing, and on the table there was like a glass object, like a decorative glass object. Must have been very expensive. It was like round like a ball, and this glass object was kept on the table. And this 5-year-old boy was playing, and the parents were talking to me, and he was playing with this glass object, and that glass object fell onto the ground. वो कांच की जो चीज थी वो जमीन पर गिर गई, and it broke off to pieces, got shattered completely, was in pieces. And then I saw the other boy, who was about 8 years old. He was playing with a rubber ball. And as he was playing with a rubber ball, I saw that when he put the rubber ball down, the rubber ball bounced back. कांच की वस्तु में और रबर की वस्तु में यही सबसे बड़ा अंतर होता है. The difference between a ball made of glass or an object made of glass and a ball made of rubber is this, that a glass object, when it falls to the ground, it shatters, it breaks into pieces, but a rubber ball, when it falls, bounces back. So don't ever think that we won't fall. Don't ever think that there won't be troubles. Don't ever think that there won't be issues. कभी मत सोचना कि कोई दिक्कतें नहीं होंगी, समस्याएं नहीं होंगी, परेशानियां नहीं होंगी, कठिनाइयां नहीं होंगी. There will be trouble, there will be issues, there will be problems, there will be difficulties, there will be troubling situations. The difference is, do we want to be a glass ball or do we want to be a ball made of rubber? If we are made of glass, we'll be shattered. If we are made of rubber, we will bounce back. इसलिए कई बार मैं कहता हूं कि किस्मत और मुझ में, मेरी किस्मत और मुझ में हमेशा की ये जंग है. मैं उसके फैसलों से तंग हूं और वो मेरे हौसले से दंग है. किस्मत और मुझ में हमेशा ये जंग है. मैं उसके फैसलों से तंग हूं और वो मेरे हौसले से दंग है. So it doesn't matter what happens. हौसला बनाए रखना चाहिए. We have to keep our hope. We have to keep our determination. We have to keep our grit in a way that we can learn to be like that rubber ball and bounce back. और अंत में तो हम सब कुछ सीखते हैं ठोकर खाकर ही ना. जिंदगी में हर चीज जो होती है वो ठोकरों से टूट जाती है. बस कामयाबी एक चीज है जो ठोकरों से बन जाती है. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, guys, it's not a question of problems not happening or troubles not coming our way. It's a question of how we can quickly bounce back, effectively bounce back with the minimum damage, with the minimum hurt that is caused to us. And I think the same holds true with the mind as well. The same holds true with our mental health as well. मन की भी यही बात है. We all feel low, we all feel lonely, we all feel depressed, we all feel dejected, we all feel rejected, we all feel frustrated. We all go through these negative feelings. It's a normal part of life. इंसान है ना जनाब, पत्थर नहीं है. इंसान है तो चोट पहुंचेगी, पत्थर को चोट नहीं पहुंचती. इंसान है ना तो दिल टूटेगा, पत्थर को दिल होता ही नहीं टूटने के लिए. इंसान है ना तो दुख होगा, पत्थर को ना तो सुख ना दुख होता है. We are human beings, and humans as we are, it's but natural to go through all of these varieties of emotions that affect our mind and our mental health. And there is nobody in the world who is an exception to this. And therefore, good mental health is not about not feeling low. Good mental health is about how we can change from being a glass object to a rubber ball. अगर कांच के बने रहेंगे ना जी, लोग जैसे खिलवाड़ करते हैं हमारे साथ कई बार, जिंदगी जैसे खिलवाड़ करती है हमारे साथ कई बार, हमारे कांच के बने मन को तोड़ देगी. We'll be shattered if we are made of glass. But if we decide to be like a rubber ball, good mental health is to learn how to be like that rubber ball. अच्छी मेंटल हेल्थ वो होती है जहां हम एक रबर के बॉल के समान बन पाए, जहां हम फिर से लौट. ये मत सोचिए कि गिरेंगे नहीं, ये मत सोचिए कि डिप्रेशन नहीं होगा, ये मत सोचिए कि नेगेटिविटी नहीं आएगी, ये मत सोचिए कि लोनलीनेस नहीं होगा, ये मत सोचिए कि फ्रस्ट्रेशन नहीं होगा. डोंट थिंक दैट वी वोंट बी डिजेक्टेड एंड रिजेक्टेड इन लाइफ. All we need to see is how can we be like that rubber ball and bounce back effectively. And therefore, good mental health to me is about three things. Number one, good mental health is about being authentic, true, and very honest to ourselves. That we all go through these issues and problems. दुनिया में ऐसा कोई इंसान नहीं है जिसको मन में कभी तकलीफ नहीं होती. There is no human being in the world who doesn't go through this. So never feel that you're alone. The one thing that a lot of people, when they go through these issues, internally feel that I am the only one. We are not alone. Nobody in this world is alone. Everybody is going through this. So the first step of good mental health is acknowledging and accepting the fact that we all go through this in smaller or larger ways, for smaller periods of time or longer period of time. Some of us may be able to come out of it and bounce out of it by our own self. Some of us may need help and support from others. Some may need medical and professional help if the issue is too strong. But we all go through it. Nobody in this world is immune to mental health issues. To a smaller or a larger degree, everybody gets affected. Good mental health means to acknowledge I have a problem. The second aspect of good mental health is not that we won't feel low. Good mental health means how can we minimize the time of bouncing back. कितने जल्दी हम नॉर्मल में आ सकते हैं, वो होती है गुड मेंटल हेल्थ. डोंट एवर फील दैट इट वोंट हैपन. जस्ट सी हाउ लाइक अ rubber ball you can bounce back quicker. And number three, good mental health is about minimizing the damage that is caused to us when we go through those feelings. When negativity is, you can't not be negative, but when we are negative, how do we minimize that damage? How do we have minimum hurt that is caused to us by what we are going through is good mental health. So always remember the three aspects of good mental health. Number one, we are not alone. We are all in it to a larger or a smaller degree. Everybody is affected by something in their minds. Number two, good mental health is about how quickly can we bounce back and how can we minimize the time that we are in that state. And remember, when we are in that state, it's after all just a bad phase of life, guys. It's not a bad life. Please remember that a bad phase of our life is not a bad life. A bad phase goes away. Bad phases last, but they also go away. So how do we minimize that time and bounce back to normal life? And number three, good mental health is about how do we minimize the damage that the situation causes to us. But I will discuss with you three principles of good mental health, three things that can really help us with our mental health and with our mind this evening. But before that, let me give a couple of shout outs to those who are joining us. R. Dingra, thank you 14, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Ankita, thank you for following us and joining us. Bayon B, very, very grateful that you're here this evening with us. Krishna Amit, oh, thank you so much for being with us again this evening. Akidev, thank you. Vikas, I'm so happy that you're with us here. Sharma, Aditya, Baljit Singh, very, very glad that you've joined us for this session on this World Mental Health Day this evening. So here's my first principle for how to keep a stable mind in the middle of all the chaos and the mayhem that's going on all around us. You know what, guys? You know who are the people whom we spend the most time with? Is it our spouses, our boyfriends, our girlfriends, our partners, our BFFs, our colleagues at work or at business or in school or in college? Who is it that we are spending the most time with? We are spending the most time with our mind. When we are not talking to anybody, your BF, your GF, your BFF, when you're not talking to anybody, you're still talking to yourself. We're spending the maximum amount of time here. And because we are spending the maximum amount of time here, it is very, very crucial that we learn the art of interacting rightly here. We learn the art of having the right kind of conversations here. It's not so much about what the world tells us. It's about what we tell ourselves that is extremely important for a good mental health. Napoleon said a very interesting thing. He said, if you speak a lie long enough and loud enough, people start believing that that is a truth. अगर कोई झूठ बोले लंबे समय तक और जोर जोर से बोले तो वो झूठ भी लोग सच मानने लगते हैं. And that's not true just about the society. That's true about our own self. If we speak to ourselves something internally long enough and loud enough, repeatedly, consistently, we start believing in that. That becomes our identity. And therefore our self-talk, what we tell ourselves is so important, is so crucial. What people tell you is okay, but what you tell yourself is very important. When people say you're useless, that doesn't make us useless. When we start saying to ourselves we are useless, that's when we become useless. When people say that you're ugly, it doesn't matter. When we start saying to ourselves that we are ugly, that's where the problem is. And therefore a very, very crucial parameter and a very important aspect of a stable mind is to have good, quality, positive self-talk internally. आप अपने आप के साथ क्या बोल रहे हैं, आप अपने आप को क्या बोल रहे हैं, ये बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है. क्योंकि जो हम अपने आप को अंदर बोलते हैं बार बार, वो हमारी सच्चाई हो जाती है. What we talk to ourselves internally constantly, that becomes our truth and that becomes our identity. Which is why, like they say, words carry energy. So do not even speak negatively about yourself internally as a joke. You know why? Because words carry energy and they cast a spell. Probably that's why they call it a spelling, you know. Words can become a self-fulfilling prophecy for us. And therefore it's very crucial and important to change the quality of your dialogue here. Affirmations are very important. Positive affirmations are very important. The world may think what it thinks about you. Doesn't matter. That's out of our control. दुनिया सोचती है अपने हाथ में नहीं है. हम अपने बारे में क्या सोचते हैं अपने. Therefore, my first principle today is change your talk here. Here's where you're spending the most time. Here's where you're talking the most. Here's where you're having the maximum number of conversations. Change the quality of your conversations here and change the way you think about yourself and change the quality of your mental health and thereby your life by changing your self-talk. Affirmations are extremely important, and therefore what is the quality of content that we are consuming? Whether it's content in terms of printed books, whether it's digital content in terms of social media content or YouTube content, what are you watching? What are you consuming? वो हमारा आहार है. जो भी अंदर जा रहा है वो आहार है. आहार केवल खाना नहीं होता. आहार is not just about food. Everything I watch, everything I hear, everything I smell, everything I touch is an input to my mind and is affecting my mind, is affecting my mental health. So what am I consuming? Monitor the quality of content you consume. Let all the content we consume add to the value of our mental health, add to the quality of improving our conversation with ourselves. Our conversation that we have with ourselves must improve by the content we watch or read. So choose your content extremely carefully, because that will definitely affect the quality of conversation that you have with yourself internally here. So the first principle for today is watch the conversation you have with yourself here and monitor the content that you're consuming, because this is where you spend the most amount of time. Before we go to the second principle today, a couple of more shout outs to some of you who are joining us this evening. Ashutosh Pandey, thank you very much for joining us. Shiv Shakti, very glad that you're here. Shivanshu, very, very happy that you've joined us this evening. Laviko Ranga and Pavnesh, so happy that you've joined us. Mozrila and Anand Andy, very, very glad that you're here with us for this conversation, for this dialogue on World Mental Health Day of how to keep robust mental health. Keshav, very glad that you're here with me, you're here with us as well. Deepika and Priyanshi, very happy to have you here for this Instagram live session. Ruma Sharma, very grateful that you've taken your time out and joined us this evening as well. Alkesh and Ruby, namaste and hi to you as well. The second aspect of keeping good mental health is this. This afternoon I was giving a talk to a group of people, and I was recollecting a story, a very interesting story from the Ramayana, a very, very powerful story of two great sages. One was a sage named Vasishtha, and the second was a sage named Vishwamitra. Vishwamitra was a king, he was an emperor, extremely powerful, he had resources, he had palaces, he had everything at his beck and call. And Vasishtha was a simple sage living in a small hermitage. And Vishwamitra and his entire entourage of thousands of people once got lost in the forest. And with no food or water to eat, they were looking for a shelter where they could get some food and water. As they were walking around, they came across the hermitage, the ashram of Vasishtha. When Vishwamitra saw Vasishtha, Vasishtha was a very elevated soul. So Vishwamitra offered his obeisances, his respects to Vasishtha and sought his blessings and guidance for his life. And thinking that he is a small, ordinary hermit, what would he have to help us with? We have thousands of people. Even if we want to have some food or water from him, we don't even know if he has food or water for himself. How is he going to feed us? Vishwamitra, as he was wondering like this, Vasishtha spoke to Vishwamitra and said, may I kindly help you with something? I see that all of you are tired, exhausted. I see on your faces that you haven't eaten for a while or taken any water for a while. Give me the opportunity to serve you all a meal. Vishwamitra was like, this is a tiny little ashram, a tiny hermitage. They don't have a massive community kitchen. And how is this hermit going to feed the thousands of people who are with us? Vasishtha, he said, just give me an opportunity. I'd really like to treat you with a delectable feast. And Vasishtha got a cow. The name of the cow was Shabala. She was a mystical cow. As he called for this cow, Shabala, the mystical cow, he said, please feed all of these people. And right there in front of everybody, from this mystical cow Shabala, there were thousands of plates laid with thousands, hundreds and hundreds of preps on each of this plate, with perfect kind of taste and fragrance and the right kind of flavor and the right kind of texture. Incredible, delectable preparations. It was a feast. Everybody was so hungry, they started eating. And they started relishing. Never before in their life had they had a meal like that. It was such a fantastic meal. Except for one individual whose attention was not on the meal. His attention was on the cow. That one individual was the king Vishwamitra. Vishwamitra dekh raha tha कि मेरे पास सब कुछ है लेकिन मेरे पास ये गाय नहीं है. ये साधारण ऋषि, ये साधारण व्यक्ति वशिष्ठ इसके पास ये शबला गाय है जो उसके पास मिस्टिक पावर है, जिसके पास सिद्धियां हैं, जो ये सब कुछ दे पा रही है, सबको 60-70 हजार लोगों को 1 सेकंड में सबको खाना खिला दिया, इनके पास ये गाय है. And Vishwamitra, rather than focusing on the fact that he had the power as a king, he had the control as a king, he had properties as a king, he had palaces as a king, he had resources as a king, he had everything. Rather than focusing on what he had, he started focusing on what he lacked. He lacked that cow, the Shabala cow. And he was upset with it. And then the rest is story, a long story. To cut it short, the important point that I wanted to make from this story is this: that there is a tendency for the human condition to focus on what others have. Rather than focus on what we have, we focus on what others have. And when we focus on what others have, all we are reminded of is what we lack. Ladies and gentlemen, guys, friends, isn't it true today that as good and as powerful a tool is social media for us to connect to each other, to share our feelings, our joys, our experiences, our knowledge, our wisdom with others, and to network with each other. But isn't it a fact that very often when we look at posts on social media, rather than reminding of what we have, it reminds us of what we lack. Somebody's post where they put up how beautiful or how handsome they look, rather than looking at what I have, I start feeling that I lack that look. Somebody goes to the gym and builds up a nice body and shows up his chest or his biceps or his triceps or his abs, posts a picture. Rather than thinking that I am also fit, I start thinking I lack that. Somebody puts up a picture or an Instagram story of a holiday or a vacation being spent in Australia or New Zealand and America, and I'm probably in Goa as well, enjoying a holiday. Rather than enjoying the holiday that I have in Goa, I start feeling the lack of being in the USA. Ladies and gentlemen, I feel it's a very, very important aspect of keeping good mental health to start focusing on what we have, rather than constantly comparing ourselves and rather than constantly focusing on what others have. Just by focusing on what others have, we don't get it. दूसरों के पास जो है वो देखने से हमको नहीं मिलने वाला. अपनी मेहनत से जो भी हमको चाहिए हम कमा सकते हैं, मिला सकते हैं, लेकिन दूसरों पर ध्यान देने से तो अपना नहीं होने वाला ना. और कौन है जिसके पास सब कुछ होता है? You may think that he or she is enjoying their holiday in Australia or New Zealand, and you're sitting, you're enjoying a holiday in Goa by looking at their stories. But do you even know that they're probably in a very deep state of mental anguish because of what happened? How do we even know what people are going through? We think people's lives are perfect. Look guys, just by good Insta stories, nobody's life is perfect. Simply good social media posts and simply good social media stories, simply putting up that everything's going fine and everything's going great, our good looks and our good holidays and our good cars and our good phones and our good resources, doesn't make life the best. Just by having more, that doesn't mean life is the best. Ladies and gentlemen, guys and girls, it's very, very important to realize and know that we are enough. Do not allow anybody's social media post, or do not allow anyone who's posting something out there to make you feel that you lack something. Everybody is lacking something. They may have good looks but lack mental peace. They may have mental peace, they may lack good looks. They may have mental peace and good looks, they may not have money. They may have money, mental peace and good looks, they may not have friends. They may have their relationship may be in shambles. Who has everything? कौन है जिसके पास में कमी नहीं है? दोस्तों, कौन है जिसमें कमी नहीं है? आसमां के पास भी जमीन नहीं है. Nobody in the world has it all. And therefore, remember, it's a very, very crucial and an important aspect of life to start focusing on our lives. Good mental health is to stop looking at others' lives and to start looking at one's own life. If we feel we lack something in our life, it's good to work on what we lack and develop it rather than look at somebody else and who reminds us, not that they remind, but they're supposed to remind us of what we lack and feel depressed and dejected about it. काम कीजिए. कुछ चाहिए ना जिंदगी में तो उठिए और काम कीजिए. केवल इसमें स्क्रॉल करके और दूसरों की स्टोरीज को देखते देखते और डिप्रेस होकर डिजेक्टेड होकर मेरे पास ये नहीं है, मेरे पास वो नहीं, ये देखने से वो अपने पास आने वाला नहीं है. We have to work for what we want. And therefore, the second very important principle that I wanted to share this evening about trying to have good mental health is this. Stop looking at others. Start looking at your own lives. Stop focusing on what others have, like Vishwamitra saw the cow that Vashishta had. Start focusing on what you have and developing that. Don't focus on what you lack. Focus on what you have. Don't focus on what you can't. Focus on what you can. If you focus on what you can, you probably will be able to transform and change your life. If you focus on what you have, you'll probably be able to transform and change your life. And therefore, a very crucial and important parameter for a peaceful mind, for a good mental health, is to stop looking at others' lives, whether it is in person or it is on social media. I'm not saying don't look at social media. I'm not saying don't look at other people. I'm just saying don't allow those posts, don't allow that comparison to make you feel that you lack something. You are enough the way you are. Absolutely enough the way you are. And if there be something that lacks in you, work on it and come out of that space where you lack something and see how you can develop it and move on in the journey of your life. And here is the last principle that I wanted to share with you this evening about good mental health. Before that, a couple of shout outs. Sayantara, thank you very much. Priyanka, thank you. It's my joy to serve you all. Marina, I'm so happy to have you. Jai Singh Bhosle, thank you for joining us. Navi and Bani Pandey. I don't know whether you wrote in Urdu or in Sindhi. Bani, I can't read your comment, but it was fantastic. Yes, Chadda, thank you for joining us as well. Bubbly, so sorry to hear that you're disturbed, but I hope that this session will help you with some of your thoughts and dealing with what you're going through at the moment. Guru Charan, thank you for joining us. Hummingbirds and Beard Motard, I'm so happy that you're with us. Shilpi Vishwakarma, Jyoti Singh Keshri, Patil, thank you very much. Oh, thank you, Shubham. Very, very happy to have you with us again. Akshat, namaste to all of you. Very glad to have you all joining us this evening. Oh, thank you for repeating that line I said, कौन है जिसमें कमी नहीं है, आसमां के पास भी जमी नहीं है. याद रखिए दोस्तों, कौन है जिसमें कमी नहीं है, आसमां के पास भी जमी नहीं है. कोई नहीं है जिसके पास सब कुछ होता है. किसी के पास शबला गाय होती है और किसी के पास राज सिंहासन होता है. अरे तो अपने सिंहासन पर बैठकर अपना काम करो ना, अपनी शबला गाय लेकर अपना काम करो ना. एक दूसरों को देखकर अपने माइंड को डिस्टर्ब क्यों रखते हैं? And here is the last principle, the third principle for this evening. You know, the room that I'm sitting in, it's made of wood, birch ply here, some marble or something on the side. There's a glass window by my side. There's some mementos behind me. Right. There's a table on which my phone is kept. All of these things are right here. A house, a building is made of bricks, cement, stone, iron, marble. That's what a building is made of. A house is made of. A structure is made of. When you go to a hospital, we all feel anxious. We all feel that nervousness. You see somebody in the ICU struggling. You feel, hey, how many of you prayed saying, ye mere saath nahi hona chahiye, mere family ke saath nahi hona chahiye. We pray like that. There's an energy that the hospital has. An energy of negativity, an energy of anxiety, an energy of worry, an energy of insecurity. You know why? That energy is not created by the bricks. That energy is not created by the steel. The energy is not created by the cement. That energy is not created by the furniture. That energy is not created by the ECG machine or the beds. That energy is not created by by any of the machines in the hospital. That energy is created by people. The patients who are anxious, the relatives of the patients who are anxious, each one of those people sitting in the hospital are a transmitting antenna. They emit energy, they transmit energy, they're letting out this energy in the ether, in the space. And guess what? Guess what, guys? All of this energy that people are letting out in the space in that building is creating a collective energy. And that collective energy is the collective energy of anxiety, that collective energy of insecurity, the collective energy of worry. And therefore, when you go in there, not only are you a transmitting antenna, but every human being is a receiving antenna also. So all the patients, relatives and everybody there is anxious. They have as a transmitting antenna put out that energy into that space and created that negative energy of anxiety, not willingly but unconsciously. And when we enter in there, we are like that receiving antenna and we get affected by that energy as well. How many of you guys have felt affected when you go to a hospital? How many of you felt bad? How many of you felt worried? How many of you felt anxious? We all feel that. We all feel that. How many of you have been for a party or for a function or to somebody's home where you didn't feel welcome? They were speaking good words to you. मुंह पे तो बहुत अच्छा बोल रहे हैं, मुस्कुरा के आपको देख रहे हैं, अरे वाह वाह आइए आइए बैठिए. They kind of they're externally trying to be very kind to you, but internally they have an energy, and that energy is they don't want you. Right? They don't want you here. You feel unwelcome. You feel unwanted. Even amongst friends, as a group of friends, sometimes the energy of all of those 4 or 5 people together makes you feel unwanted. They haven't said anything. They haven't said anything. You know what, guys? Every place and carries energy. A hospital carries a negative energy. Created by the building, steel, cement, furniture? No, by the people there. Because they're transmitting antennas. We are all transmitting antennas. You go to a bar. What is the energy in a bar? To meditate? To chant? To pray? To worship? No. Everybody wants to go to a club and have a chill time. To drink? To dance? To party? Because everybody is throwing the same energy out. You go to an ashram, you go to a temple, you go to a mosque, you go to a church, you go to a place of worship, you start meditating. Everybody is throwing out the same energy. So you're getting affected by that energy. Every place has an energy. And that energy, that vibe, as Sunil Shande said, is created by people. People carry energy. And therefore, my last principle for this evening is, choose your company very wisely. Choose those people who have the right kind of energy that adds value to your stable mental health. Sometimes externally people may be alright to be with, to hang out with. There may be people around in our circles, in our groups, amongst our friend circles, who may be absolutely fine to hang out with. They don't say anything negative necessarily. They're kind of fine to be with. The issue is they have a very negative kind of energy. And if their negative energy is really strong and they are vibrating in that negative vibe very strongly, that negative energy can rub on us. That negative energy can affect us. And therefore it's so very crucial to choose the people whom we spend time with. Like Jim Rohn said, choose those 5 people very, very carefully, because you are the average of the 5 people whom you spend the most time with. Make sure that the energy and the vibe of those people is right. Not necessarily what they say and what they do. Externally what they say and what they do may be right, but the energy and the vibe needs to be right as well. Because that energy and that vibe affects our mind. That energy and that vibe affects our mental health as well. And therefore, choose your company and choose your association very, very carefully and very wisely, because energy does affect us. It will either add value or it will take value out of what we have here internally. And therefore, the last principle for this evening is, choose people with the right kind of vibe, right kind of energy. And you may say, but how do I do that, right? Sometimes we may be stuck with people, like sometimes within our family there are people who are very toxic. They carry a very toxic energy. If you are married, you may have a spouse who's very toxic, or if you're in a relationship, you may have a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a partner who may be extremely toxic. Right? What do we do when we are stuck? As much as I say that we should choose people with the right kind of energy, but what do we do when we are stuck? You know what's very important to know? When we are stuck with people like these, we don't have a choice to choose that. If you have, move out. We have a choice to get out of that relationship, which is so toxic and abusive. But if you're just unable to, and there are many people in the world who just cannot come out of that situation, you know what you need to do in such a situation? You don't have a choice, you don't have a control with that, no problem. They are abusive, they are toxic, and they are affecting my mental health, they are affecting the state of my mind in a negative way. उस पे तो कंट्रोल नहीं है ना, ठीक है. Why not start increasing the company of others? You're not going to have to spend your 24 hours with that person. Why not choose to spend time with others who have that positive energy and vibe as well? जिस पर कंट्रोल नहीं, उस पर रोने से चीजें बदलेगी नहीं. लेकिन जिस पर कंट्रोल है, उन लोगों को चुने, ऐसे दोस्तों को चुने, ऐसे वाइब वाले लोगों को चुने जो हमारे मेंटल हेल्थ को ऊपर उठा सके. अगर कोई हमारे मेंटल हेल्थ को गिरा रहा है और वो हम उसके बारे में कुछ नहीं कर सकते, तो यहाँ उनको चुने जिससे हमारे मेंटल हेल्थ उठ पाए. एंड देयरफॉर टू कंक्लूड and conclude on this entire session, remember these 3 principles always, ladies and gentlemen, guys and girls, friends. One of the most important aspect of mental health, good mental health, is your conversations with your own self. Here's where you're spending the maximum amount of time. Make sure the conversation here is right. What people say won't affect you as much compared to what you say to yourself. Therefore, monitor and choose the quality of content that you read and watch, because that will definitely define the conversation that you have with yourself. Number 2, always remember that no matter what we have, it's at the end of the day the energy of the people that is affecting us. And if we do not choose our company wisely, if we do not make sure that the right kind of people are around us, those people can also affect our mental health. So choose your company wisely. Once again, it's very crucial and important for us to have right kind of mental health, but it is entirely in our hands. Do we want to be an object of glass or a glass ball, or do we want to be a rubber ball? We need to transform ourselves into a rubber ball which can bounce back. Minimize the time of bouncing back. Minimize the damage that happens to us when we bounce back. And as quickly as we can, come back to normal life. As easy as it might sound, it's not all that easy for us when we are alone. So seek help, seek support, watch the right kind of things, read the right kind of things, and take charge of your life, take charge of your mind, take charge of your mental health, and live a great life. Once again, thank you all very, very much for joining us in large numbers this evening on the occasion of World Mental Health Day to discuss these 3 principles of good health. Shyam Gopal, Shroff, thank you for joining. Piyush, Shah, Devanshi, very, very happy to have you here. Chocolate lover, wish you some good chocolates this evening. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. Ria and Vicky Singh, Aditi, me Buttercup, thank you for being with us this evening. Jeevan Kavya, thank you very much for joining us this evening. I wish you all a great evening ahead. Thank you very much, and hope to see you very soon for another Instagram live session with another theme to discuss and see how we can add value to our life. Sartek, thank you for your compliment. Tried to share with you whatever I thought was of some value. But thank you for that compliment. Komal, thank you. Vishwas Somadeep, thank you very much, and wish you all a great evening ahead. Thank you and have a great evening.